Today on the Happy Families podcast, what do you do when you have a child experiencing all kinds of mental health challenges and there are other kids around who are being affected, potentially in negative ways? G'day, welcome to the Happy Families podcast, real parenting solutions every day. It's Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. We are Justin and Kylie Coulsons, and every Tuesday on the Happy Families podcast, we answer your tricky questions. Tricky questions about family, about discipline, about well-being, mental health, relationships, screens, whatever it is. You can literally ask us anything. We are up for the chat. We think that we can be helpful. If you'd like to submit a tricky question, we have a really super simple system at happyfamilies.com.au. You just scroll down to where it says podcasts, click the record button and start talking, just like Kate.
Hi, my name is Kate. We have 4 children. The oldest is 18. He's struggling with depression and hopelessness. He has been an incredible kid for all of his life, but he's really struggling right now. My question is really, how do we as parents help our other children who are aged 15, 13 and 10 to cope with this change in our eldest child, and as they try to navigate his temperamental changes, his mood. He's just a different kid now. And they miss their old brother. They miss how he used to be. And it's really tricky to navigate this for them and with them. I would love any insight. We're trying all we can to help him through this. But in the meantime, we really don't even know how to help his siblings.
I don't know about you, Kylie, but I'm almost crying listening to Kate as she goes through what must be one of the hardest things that a parent can ever go through, and that is seeing a child suffer. I remember being asked in a Q&A once, what's the hardest part about being a parent? And I said, it's seeing your children suffer. It's the hardest thing. And I really appreciate that Kate's asking about the kids. This is the selflessness of a mother, right? Asking about the kids. But you can hear this is hard for Kate. This is so hard.
You've really touched on it, the idea that as a mum, everybody else's emotions are put first, right? She's worried about her 18-year-old, she's worried about her kids, and yet you can just...
Oh, you can hear it.
Yeah, there is so much weight
yeah.
that Kate carries right now.
I was going to say this later in the podcast as I was putting together some thoughts. I was just going to say, as parents, it's really hard to be happier than your unhappiest child. Mm. And you can hear it in what Kate said. So, Kate, first of all, I just want to acknowledge how incredibly hard this is. You're watching your firstborn absolutely clearly struggle, and you're simultaneously trying to protect and support 3 other kids who are no doubt confused and hurting as well. And the fact that you're thinking of all 4 of your kids in this moment just shows what a thoughtful parent you are and the sacrifice that parents make for their kids all the time. Even as I heard you describing siblings missing their older brother, I'm hearing a mum missing her older son. That's actually what I'm hearing as well. It's so real. It's so painful. When depression changes someone we love, the entire family grieves. Your younger kids are experiencing a real loss. I mean, this is a substantive loss. They've lost the connection. They've lost the sense of family and wholeness that they're used to feeling, even though their brother's still physically there. So we're going to talk about what you can do to help them through this while still supporting your 18-year-old. I've got 3 things that I want to emphasize, although we could probably put together a list of 10 or 20 things if we had the time for it. The first thing is just what your kids need to understand, setting a foundation mentally for the kids. The mind is an incredible storyteller, and it tells helpful stories and unhelpful stories. Some of the unhelpful stories for younger children might be, this is what happens when you get old. You get sad, life gets harder, and things are horrible. That's an unhelpful story.
Or this is my fault.
This is what a wonderful example that is. Yeah, these unhelpful stories clearly don't do any good for anybody's well-being, and they're not in the direction that we need to travel. They might be coming up with other stories that are scarier than reality. They might think that, like Kylie said, it's their fault or they did something wrong. They might think that their brother doesn't love them anymore. They might think that something terrible is going to happen either to their brother or to the family.
Yeah.
And so our job is to, there's this thing called toxic positivity. Our job is not to become toxically positive and say, no, everything's fine, and we're going to put on a brave face and pretend like nothing's happening. That's not helpful. But what we can do is we can validate their feelings and then gently redirect them to examples of positivity and success and support in their lives.
I think at this point in the narrative, it's really important that we actually acknowledge what's going on for the kids, whether it's dealing with emotional outbursts or mood shifts in their older brother, or whether it's the fact that as a parent today, I'm not managing well as a result of what's going on. We don't need to go into huge detail, but our children need to know that there's an explanation to what they're feeling.
Right. I was going to go down a similar, I guess, a parallel track and say that we want to validate how they're feeling, but we don't have to over-explain everything. So I was going to say, if your 10-year-old says, why is he always in his room, or why is he always in such a bad mood, you can just say something like, well, sometimes when people feel really sad or worried on the inside, they need some quiet time to feel better. So we're not making excuses. We're just giving a gentle explanation. We're validating how a child feels. You can say to your child, it's okay to miss how things used to be. That makes total sense. And one day we hope that things are going to be back to normal again.
I guess where I was going with this is just there's an overarching conversation that I would be having with my kids to acknowledge that right now your big brother's really struggling. There's going to be lots of emotions and lots of feelings around it, and mummy and daddy are here to talk to you about those things, but just understand this isn't about you. This is about your big brother and what he's going through.
Yeah. I think that's what they actually need the most. Now that you've clarified that and added some more to it, it's not your fault. Our family's going to be okay. Loving people through difficult times is what families do.
Yeah.
I guess I probably even overstepped before. You don't want to you don't want to overpromise and say, yeah, he'll be fine soon. You don't want to say that we're going to go back to exactly how things were, but you do want to focus on building hope and building strength in the family.
So I really just want to add something there. I think about the experiences that we've had in our home and the challenges that we've gone through with some of our children. And I actually think that the most important thing that we can do as a parent is to show our younger children that we can love their older brother in spite of his actions, in spite of his outburst, in spite of everything. They're watching us. They're watching our every move. The way we choose to respond to the child who is struggling the most sends the biggest message to them than anything else. It's actually not the bad behavior of the struggling child. It's how we choose to respond that gives them a sense of safety, security, and hope.
Yeah, I was going to add, one of my favorite lines is, no matter how angry you are, no matter how sad you are, no matter how whatever you are, our love for you is bigger than what you're feeling right now. It's just such a profoundly impactful line. Second thing that I think we need to emphasize is that our kids need to know that they're allowed to be normal. Okay, sometimes it feels like they're going to have to walk on eggshells. One person being depressed, one person being angry, one person being stressed can shift the climate across the entire family. Emotions are contagious. We talk about this all the time on the pod. But your younger kids shouldn't have to suppress their joy or tiptoe around on eggshells because they've got a big brother who's having a rough time. It's really important that we teach them to be considerate. That matters, but they shouldn't have to be a slave to it.
So this is a little bit tricky because often we've experienced in our home that the joy of other people is actually a trigger for the person who's struggling the most.
It's aggravating for the person who's cranky.
And it really grates them, whether it's just the added noise or the extra chaos in the house or whatever. And so I think that it is really important that we support our younger children as they have their joyful moments. And sometimes that may mean removing them from the house. It might be just the backyard. It might be down to the park. It might be to go to a friend's place. But they should be able to have those, beautiful, positive emotions.
They've got to have their own individual life.
Yeah.
Yep. So if they're having a day where they're having some big emotions and things, I just think create some boundaries. Your brother's having a really hard day today. Let's be extra gentle, or let's do that outside, or let's go to the park, or let's go to a friend's house. That's the way to do it. Otherwise, everyone's walking on eggshells all the time. After the break, one more big thing that'll make a huge difference when you've got kids who are struggling, and a bonus tip on how to support an 18-year-old through these challenges. Okay, you've got an 18-year-old who's not doing well, depression, anxiety, big angry outbursts. The younger kids are struggling. What do you need to do? So far, we've talked about how the kids need to understand what's going on. We need to give them permission to be normal. The third and final thing that I really wanted to touch on in this podcast episode today is that it can be really beneficial to get them on side and give them appropriate ways to help. So often, younger children are going to look at their big brother going through this struggle and say, I'm powerless. I see somebody that I love, they're struggling. I don't know what to do. And every time I do anything, I get in trouble for doing the wrong thing. So I reckon if we can find ways that they can serve, find ways that they can contribute in the home, hopefully not building resentment, but actually building relationships, we'll get somewhere. A couple of examples, the 15-year-old might send funny memes, or the 13-year-old might say, hey, I'm watching a movie. Do you want to come and watch it with me? No pressure if he says no. The 10-year-old might invite him to play a game every now and again, or go for a walk with him and the dog. The key message really around this is you can't fix your brother, and that's not what our objective is here, but we can show love in small ways. And that's kind of where I'm aiming with this. They're not responsible for cheering him up. They're not responsible for checking on his mood. They're not even responsible for, telling you what they're observing. They're just responsible for finding ways that they can integrate joy into the family through service. I think that that's a reasonable thing to say. Let's just try and make a difference here. The last thing that I want to mention, Kylie, just briefly, is that when you've got an 18-year-old going through this, there's a couple of things that he needs to hear, and we've got to emphasize the importance of connection. Here's what he needs to hear. Your siblings are asking about you because they love you. They're not judging you. You don't have to perform being okay for them. You don't have to carry guilt about how this affects our family. What we do want to see, though, is a willingness on your part to work with our family so that we can feel good from time to time. And the reason for that is avoidance reinforces anxiety. Action reduces anxiety. So if you can make some small connections, whether it's joining you for family dinner and participating in the conversation, whether it's watching a movie together once a week, whether it's going on that outing and having that picnic at the park bench, avoidance reinforces anxiety. Action reduces anxiety. So that's what we've got for you today, Kate. We know you're literally navigating one of the hardest parts of parenting because you've got multiple kids with different needs, and it feels like it's a family crisis. I shouldn't say it feels like, it sounds like it really is a family crisis. Bottom line is this: your kids are learning how families can support each other through difficult times if you have these conversations with them. They're watching you show up for their brother. They're seeing you still caring for them. And I think that's a really powerful lesson about love and loyalty. So be patient with the process. Healing is not something that is linear. It's up and down all the time, and family adjustment takes time. I think you're doing better than you probably think you're doing yourself.
And if I can just add one little caveat.
Yeah.
Kate, find someone to talk to. You don't have to suffer through this alone, and you and your husband will be carrying the weight of this in such a profound way. And if you're going to be able to show up for your other kids, it's going to require a village. So whatever that village is, whether it needs to be professional or whether it's just a close friend that you can just have some downtime and share your heartache, because you're so often, kind of putting on a big brave face for everybody else. I think it's really important.
We really loved your tricky questions. Thanks for submitting that one, Kate. If you have a tricky question, you can send it to us at podcasts@happyfamilies.com.au. Just record a voice note and shoot that through, or visit happyfamilies.com.au, scroll down to the podcast section and press the button that says record so that you can talk to us. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Mim Hammonds provides research and a host of other support. If you'd like more information and resources about making your family happier, visit happyfamilies.com.au.